Hey guys, welcome back to Zip-Tie Garage, and today, finally, I'm getting around to doing the Welder plasma cutter review that I've been promising for quite a few videos. Before we get into it, my personal thoughts on it. Small, compact, easy to carry. I mean, this thing is light. There's no issue there for sure. Don't mind the cables that are right here. Mike put those on there. He was going to use this on his plasma cutter table, but he has one that he likes already, and so he was just like, just bundled up, let him here. He kept the one that he wanted on his machine. He didn't really know if this one would work. He talks to the company a lot. It might work now, but later updates it might not, and so he wanted to stick with something that he knew would work all the time. So he gave this to me to review. I'm not paid by Welder at all. They sent it to him, but he gave it to me to use because I didn't have one, and he wanted to hear my honest opinion on it. And so yeah, you guys should go check out his video. I'll leave a little link thingy right here for him. But check out his YouTube channel. It's pretty big. I'm pretty fortunate to have a friend like him at work, and pretty fortunate that he let me use this even though it was sent to him. So thank you, Mike. My initial thoughts are pretty cheap for a plasma cutter, which is nice. Reliable, which is really nice. First one that I've ever really used a lot, and it cuts whatever I want it to cut. It can cut on 110 or 220. You have an adapter right here for it, so that way you can run 220. Most of the time I run it on 110 because I only have one 220 outlet and my air compressor is hooked up to that. On 110 it cut through a pretty decent, I mean, I know it's not like thick metal, but it cut through some thick metal on 110. It does kind of want to take breaks here and there, I should say, when you're on 110. It has a, this is also really nice, it has a function where if it overheats, it will shut off. It'll keep cooling itself by pushing air through it, and there's a little light indicator in here on the panel. You got right here, right in the middle. It'll start flashing, letting you know that it's overheated or it's met that threshold. So that's nice. I didn't realize that at first, and I was like, what the heck is going on? It just shut off. Well, if you read your owner's manual like you're supposed to, it'll tell you right in there. Owner's manual is good, not great. Like, it tells you most things about it, but in it the wording is kind of iffy. It's kind of spotty, but it gets you through it and you can understand it, and if anything you have Google, which is what I did. But it definitely explains how it works, the different modes. The one thing it didn't explain very well is this has the 2T and 4T functions, which I think is pretty cool. 2T, you hit the trigger, it arcs, you let go, it stops like any normal plasma cutter. But 4T, you hit it and let go, and it continues, and so you can sit there and drag it. You can hold it like this, you can hold it like this. I mean, you can hold it however you want, and it'll cut through metal, and then you hit the trigger and let go again, shuts off. And I'll show you guys that later too. It will start an arc midair. You don't have to be touching the metal. You can hold it away from the metal to cut, which I think is really nice. I mean, cutting sheet metal or body panels that have paint still on them, it'll blast right through it. I mean, if you clean it, obviously it'll make way cleaner cut, but it'll go right through it. It'll cut right through scale, it'll cut through rust. I think I have a piece, hold on. Oh yeah, it's the same piece here. It has mill scale on it, and it just cuts straight through it, no problem. You can see right here I cut without cleaning, and right here I cut with cleaning, and honestly, you can see a little bit of a difference, but not really. Like, the only reason why it looks jagged is because I'm still not too smooth with it. Still need to get better at that. But other than that, I love it. It's great. I haven't had any issues with it. It has overload protection. It has, as I've already said, overheating protection. It also has a function where you can purge the airline. Sometimes it'll go back and forth between that on its own. It has a function where it, right here on the side, it'll start blinking if your your electrode isn't seated properly, or if it's not in there right, or if it's a little wiggly. It'll let you know by that flashing. It's like, hey, check your hardware, which I like. I did that once. and it was like, hey man, gotta check it out. Checked it. I didn't tighten it all the way, so you don't get bad cuts. I have experienced, that's my own issue, that I blew through an electrode because I didn't start, like, I started right in the middle of a piece, and I didn't start at like an angle and go into it. I just right there, and so it splashed back up in and it fried it. And I mean, that was me, my fault. But what's nice little segue there, it comes with extra goodies for you. I think Mike provided me with these, but it does come with spare. I think it came with spare cup and electrode, and then Mike gave me some extras here. And then included with it, you got a little stand, so you can clip it on just like so that way it keeps it off the metal. Keeps it a good distance away from the metal, lets you cut flat. But what I've experienced is if you have any impurities on it like this, like a little bit of slag, you hit it and it kind of wants to lift like that. I mean, you can kind of weasel your way through it, but I've just experienced more troubles than not when I use it, so I don't use it. It comes with an Allen key, little rubber cap or something, I don't know. And it comes with an extra airline coupler. It's one of those little press fit ones for the back. I did myself, not because I had to, but because I just wanted to, water separator and pressure regulator. I put a new one on it, a better one that I liked. This one didn't, nothing was wrong with it. I just wanted a better one. Mike advised me might want a new one. So I got that. I will get it all set up and do some demonstrations and show you guys what my experience is like with it, and what it's like actually cutting metal. You guys have seen other videos. If you've watched my build videos, you've seen it in it. Used it for my entire tunnel build. Most of my tunnel build. I used it to cut out the panels. I used it to cut out the whole tunnel, actually. Made it a breeze instead of using a cutoff wheel. I'd much rather use those danger discs, you know, man. Woo. So I'm gonna go put my jumpsuit on because I have my nice clothes on, and we'll start cutting stuff. Before I get started, I usually have it on this little cart. I have my welder on top. Yes, welder fits down in there. That's what I like about it too. But pretty compact, where you can just put it in a little area on your rolling welding cart if you have one already. I mean, it just fits down there really nice. Keeps it nice tucked away. But now you can watch me set it up. Has this nice little Velcro so everything's held in. But I will begin to set up the plasma cutter. So I'm first going to use it on 110, which is what I normally use it at. And then later I will show you how it cuts on 220. There's definitely a speed difference, so you can cut way faster at 220. And it's quiet too. Alright. So you can see, got our little flashing lights here. It says that this one, ready to cut. I have it set to 2T right now. Right now it is flashing power flash, but you have a dial here for, cutting amps. Goes all the way up to 55. On 110 I usually stay around 30. I haven't really had any issues yet. I have bumped it up to 36 on 110. That was just what Mike had. I probably have it backwards. I probably forgot what he actually told me, so don't quote me on this. He said stay around 30 on 110. On 220 you can crank this thing up to 55. I usually just set it and forget it. I know that I probably shouldn't, but I do. I've never had an issue with it, but crank it back down to 30. You got this nice little flap here that protects it so you don't bump it or anything. You have a readout here for your different pressures. Right now I have it set to 50. You can mess with that. I mess with it a little bit. I like 50 because it just blows the slag away, I guess you could say. I've noticed that it doesn't ball up or anything. That could just be how fast or slow I'm cutting. The slower you cut, the more slag builds up and just kind of falls off and drops like little raindrops. If you cut too fast, obviously you're not going to cut through the whole thing completely, or you're going to get really jagged cuts. The smoother you cut and the more consistent you cut, the smoother the finished product will be. There's always going to be cleanup, but you're not going to have as much slag. So yeah, there's that. You can see, I won't look at it, but you guys can. You hold it, you pull it, it'll arch. You start cutting. But you don't really want to do that. No, hold on, one second. Let it purge. There we go. So after you're done cutting, as you saw, it'll purge itself, or just keep blasting air, expecting you to be cutting more. But as you can see, you can just start it mid-air. You don't really want to do that unless you're cutting something. You can mess up your cups and your electrode. That little whistle is because this is a used tip, and I kind of touched the material. You can touch it, but you don't want to like push into it. Me being me and not really responsible with myself, I drug it along in a spot and I held it there for a second because didn't really think about it, and so it blasted up in, kind of got it a little dirty on the inside, so it's creating that little whistle sound. It went away. You get that, that means that there's either you need to clean out your tip or your tip is damaged and you need to replace it. Consumables for this are pretty cheap. And like I said, they provide you with some, which is nice right out of the box. But I will first cut. We will be cutting this today. We'll be cutting some of this thick angle here too. Possibly, I don't know. We'll use this instead. This was from my cross member. You can see really thick 3/8. I mean, you guys see I already cut with it. I'm gonna show you guys how well it cuts. I'll do 110 on this and then 220, and you can really see the difference. If 110 will get through. Then I'll show you on some of this thin flat stock here. So we're gonna start off today with some thin flat stock here. I don't even know how thick it is. Should probably find that out. Then we'll move on to some thicker material here. Yes, I've already cut on it, but still want to show you guys how well it cuts. And we'll move on to some 3/8 metal that was off my cross member that I had to modify. And I mean, you can see I already cut with it, but again, I want to show you guys how well it cuts. I'll do one cut on 110 and then another cut on 220 on all these pieces, so that way you guys can see exactly how well it cuts on both modes. Here we go, first cut. So you can see here, got a nice piece. You can see there's a little slag on the bottom, but what's nice, all I gotta do is take a little bit, boom. I have a super nice clean piece, do a little finish. I mean, I didn't really pay attention to how straight I was cutting just because, you know, showing you guys that it cuts. But you can see how well and clean that thing leaves a finish. And that's on 110. It cut pretty fast. I mean, I could probably cut it faster, but that's the speed I like to go. Now I'll show you guys on a bigger piece with a little bit of rust on it. This one is clean. We'll cut this corner piece off right here. Still on 110. Still at 30, 50 pounds. Oops. See, that's what I'm talking about. It's going a little too fast, blasted itself out, so you gotta be a little bit slower on 110. This little piece off here, first one I did, I went too fast. I was sitting down, couldn't really see what I was doing. That is hot. Couldn't really see what I was doing sitting down, so I'm gonna stand up this time. We'll do another cut right here for you. Okay, so you can see 110, I didn't adjust the settings for the amperage, I'm still at 30, but I has a little bit tougher time cutting through some thicker stuff on 110. It was pretty jagged. I mean, it could just be me too. Last time I cut on this, I did 110, but I went really slow, and then I switched over to 220 and I cut way better. So I'll bump the amperage up to 36 and we'll see how it goes, but this could just be me. So let's bump up the amperage to 36 and try another cut. We'll cut the same corner here. That cut nicest, but I also went slower. Oh, there we go. So you can see, still not the best cut. I mean, I don't have the smoothest of hands right now. I'm kind of shaky. I had a little too much caffeine. There's that on 110. I am having some doubts on trying it on this thicker piece here, but I have consumables, so if I go through them, then that's all right. All right, well, you see it cut. I'm done. Forgot to hit record. I'll probably do another cut on this side for you guys. Yeah, you know what, screw it. That's what I'm gonna do. Take 2. Well, there you go. You see that it cut, took a while, wasn't the cleanest. Would not recommend that on 110. It cut through, did have a little bit of a hard time, but it still did it. I would not recommend doing it on 110. If you do need to cut something like this, I would suggest getting 220 or cutoff wheel. It'd be faster than using the plasma cutter on 110, honestly. All right, I'm gonna crank it up, go to 50. All right, now the same piece, we will cut like this, so that way I can show you guys how well this actually cuts. You have it set up properly to cut something this thick. You can tell that was a lot faster in comparison here. Not too long. All right, so you got 220, 110. It took longer to cut this piece than it did this entire piece. So yeah, very capable. It can cut even thicker if you wanted to. God, I love this thing. I love this thing. It makes life so much easier. That's insane. Now onto the really, really easy piece. I mean, let's just get it over with. There's not much to expect here, okay? Look at that. All right. I mean, I don't even know, like, this thing's awesome. 220 just cuts through everything, and I mean, that, you saw how fast that was. That wasn't sped up, just right through. Yeah, I mean, anything up to, okay, 1/4 inch, I wouldn't go past that with 110. You can, but you're definitely gonna have to slow down, take your time. 3/8, do not advise. But 220, right through it, and obviously right through everything down below it. You can even go thicker if you wanted to. So, my final thoughts on the Welder CUT-55DS 110 220 volt plasma cutter. I love it. This thing does anything I want it to. 220 especially will do anything you want it to. Simple to use, 2 modes, 2T, 4T. You have variable amp adjustment right here. You have your pressure regulator here, and it's literally as simple as turning it on, setting your pressure, setting your amps, and pulling the trigger. Like, if I can do it, anybody can. I gotta give a huge thanks to Mike over at Mike Festiva YouTube channel for letting me borrow this and use it on my project. Again, link down in the description to his channel. He's great. I'm lucky that guy, that I work with him, and that he gave me the opportunity to review this machine. But yeah, I mean, that's all really. I'll leave a link in the description to go check this out for yourself. Cheap, simple machine that works really well for anything you need it to. It'll work on your plasma cutting table too. Depends on the software that it runs. Make sure it's compatible before you buy it. Don't take my word for it. For every machine, it may need to be a different machine or a specific one to run on your plasma table. But this one will work for certain ones, I know that. Other than that though, that is my my review on the Welder CUT-55DS plasma cutter. Hope you guys enjoyed, and check out that link below, see if you want it for yourself. Have a good day.